Alright guys, I'm just gonna say it. I loathe peeling garlic, which is a shame because I love eating garlic. So I figured out a solution. I go online onto a website that rhymes with bone, and I order pre-peeled garlic. Problem is it spoils, and it spoils fast. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to have chopped garlic on command whenever you need it. And I'll throw in a little bonus recipe because why not? On y va. And this is how the garlic arrives. It's 1 kilo of pre-peeled cloves, which equates to just over 2 pounds of pre-peeled garlic. Get rid of the bag and the little moisture trap and look at this enormous pile of beauty. Before I start processing these, I'm going to grab about 2 handfuls of them and place them in a little pot. My plan is to make some garlic confit butter. It's delicious, it lasts forever in the fridge, and it can happen while I process the rest of the garlic. Next, I'll grab 250 grams of butter, which is about half a pound, and cut it into little cubes, just to get it to a more manageable size that fits in the pot. You can use more butter or more garlic or scale this recipe according to your desire. Just keep in mind, this is not an exact science, it all depends on your taste. I'm just showing you how I do it. Alright, everybody's in the tub, so now I'm going to turn the heat to low, medium, low. Just hot enough so that things happen, but not too hot so that I have to watch the pot. While that happily simmers away, I'm going to prep my food processor. We only have one little issue to deal with. In order for the garlic to stay fresh over a long time in a vacuum-sealed bag, they have to leave the root end on. Usually when we peel our own garlic, it's not a problem to just cut it off with a knife, but we got hundreds of cloves to deal with here. So I just use my mandolin slicer. I set the gap so that it just barely cuts anything, and then I just grab a clove and run it over. It really only takes off the root end, and the rest of the clove stays intact and can be placed in the food processor. Of course, you could also do this process with a knife. It would just take about 10 minutes longer, but I like convenience, and 10 minutes is a long time when you're doing something so monotonous as cutting garlic heads off. With this method, I was able to process this entire bag in 7 minutes. Also, cleanup is really easy. Just get rid of the cut off root ends and run the mandolin blade under some water with some dish soap. 30 seconds later, there is no evidence of any crime having taken place. Alright, next, we're going to process the garlic in the food processor. Yeah, that makes sense. If you don't have a food processor, of course you could just take the garlic, Hulk smash it into oblivion, and run your knife through it until it has a consistency that you like. But about 30 seconds in the food processor gets me this consistency that I like to freeze. It's slightly heterogeneous, mostly uniform, and on the verge of becoming a puree. If you kept going at this stage, you would be making a puree, and that would freeze solid in the freezer. We don't want that. We want to be able to break out individual cubes. So our next order of business is going to be to break out a Ziploc bag and fill every little bit of garlic into that. Next, we're going to seal it except for a little opening so that we can push the air out. Grab a Ziploc bag that seems a little too large for the job. You'll see exactly why later, but in essence, it's because of displacement, and we need a little bit of ample space. The next step is optional, but once the garlic is in about a uniform thickness, I like to go over it with a very straight rolling pin. It helps me push the rest of the air out, and it gets everything to an even more uniform thickness. Use the tool that you like for the next step, but I like using the back of my knife to first mark out where I want the sheet of garlic to break after it has been frozen. The first pass is to mark it out, and on the second pass, I really press all the way through. This is also the reason why we needed extra space in the bag, so that the displacement of the markings don't affect each other. Once we crisscross applesauce this bad boy, I'm going to slide it onto a plate in order to not destroy the markings we just made, and then I'm going to slide it into my freezer. I also cleared out some space to ensure that it lies flat for the next 8 hours. What smells so good? Alright, about 15 minutes have passed and our garlic is starting to brown in the butter. Not just the garlic, but also the milk solids. This is also the reason we had to use low heat. If we had started on high, the milk solids would have burned before the garlic even had a chance to brown. After a total of about half an hour, the garlic has gone really golden, and this is exactly what we want. Honestly, you could just leave it at that and eat the garlic cloves right out of the butter. Spread it on some toast, they're really soft and it's delicious, but I'm gonna keep processing them. I'm gonna let my little saucepan cool off until the butter reaches a more reasonable temperature. Next, I'm going to add a healthy pinch of salt and Olive oil? Yep, a little glug of olive oil is going to ensure that this stays a spreadable consistency even when it's cold out of the fridge. A little pinch of sugar really brings the entire affair alive, and because we evaporated all the water out of the butter, we're going to add back in about 2 tablespoons worth. Next, I'm just gonna grab my immersion blender and pulse this into a puree. Again, all these steps are optional, and honestly, it makes the whole affair kinda ugly. It just tastes amazing. This is the kind of thing you can spread over a steak or rub over a piece of meat before braising it in the oven or adding it to a sauce. The options are limitless. After pureeing the entire thing, I transfer the contents of the saucepan into a metal bowl. Metal because metal is nicely thermally conductive and it will help cool this off even faster. You can flavor this however you want, but I'm gonna add some freshly ground black pepper and some herbes de Provence. Mais oui, but Léo, it's pronounced herbe de Provence. Shut up, Francois. I know how it's pronounced. I just don't want to sound pretentious. Where were we? Yeah. We're gonna cover this up and add it to the fridge for about 2 hours until it firms up. Remember how I said it ain't pretty? Well, it ain't pretty. But believe me when I say that it is a pity that odor video hasn't been invented yet. This roasted garlic butter cream à la Provençale is the backbone of any braise I ever make. Since it's supposed to flavor something relatively bland, I like to put it on something like a piece of tortilla to taste it for seasoning. This batch only needed a little bit more pepper and a little bit more salt, and after that has been incorporated, it is perfect. Wrap it in plastic wrap and keep it in the fridge for I don't know how long it will keep. It never lasted more than 2 months in my fridge. That was a little bonus recipe, but let's get back to the actual topic of the video. It's now the next day and my garlic has frozen solid. It's now really easy to just grab a little cube of chopped garlic and add it to anything you like. It thaws in seconds, it's really easy to dose, but I'll tell you more about that in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, leave me a like, drop me a follow, and I'll see you then.